If you're into paradoxes and some of the most incredible and intriguing thoughts that the greatest minds on earth have ever come up with, keep watching. The human mind is absolutely mind-blowing. It's the greatest tool that we have, and because of that, human beings have been able to theorize some incredible things, including paradoxes and various ideas that are absolutely ingenious. So in this video, I'm going to present you with some concepts that are going to twist your mind. So get ready, sit back, and here we go. Here are 10 mind-blowing thoughts that will twist your brain. Number 10 is Theseus Ship. Theseus' ship is a thought experiment designed to make you question your identity. Theseus was a great hero in ancient Greek mythology. On his adventures, he sailed on a famous ship. Traveling the high seas and battling monsters and gods caused wear and tear on the ship. So, over time, Theseus replaced parts of his ship which had worn out. After many years, Theseus had replaced every single part of the ship piece by piece. So, the question is, if every piece has been replaced, is it still the same ship? Now here's what's really gonna bacon noodle. If we take it a step further, imagine someone kept all of the discarded pieces and put them back together. Now you have two Theseus ships. So the question is, which is the real one? The idea here is that identity is continuous. Each person alters over time piece by piece, and so eventually you're a completely different person as the one you started out as. So because your body keeps replicating cells and changing things and your body sheds and whatnot, are you still the same person that you were 10 years ago, or are you someone completely different? Mind blown. Number 9 is the Boltzmann Brain. To understand what a Boltzmann brain is, imagine the universe in a far-flung future. Due to entropy and the expansion of the universe, everything will one day no longer exist. The universe will have unraveled from itself, leaving nothing but an infinite amount of empty space. Except it won't entirely be empty. That space will experience random thermal fluctuations. So if the universe is infinite, then that means every possible configuration of fluctuation happens. And as bizarre as it seems, sometimes these fluctuations will perfectly recreate a temporary version of ourselves. Those are called Boltzmann brains. If they exist, it's mathematically likely that we are currently living inside one of these fluctuations. That means we're a strange temporary approximation of people who once lived perhaps billions of years ago. So you're you, but you're also someone else. That was you. But you're that person, but you're only you. Oh God. Number 8 is the unexpected hanging paradox. Imagine a judge sentences a prisoner to be executed on a weekday next week. The exact day needs to be a surprise. So the prisoner relaxes and believes that he will never be executed. His reasoning is that it can't happen on Friday because if he hasn't been hanged by Thursday, then there would only be one day left, and that wouldn't be a surprise. He also can't be hanged on a Thursday because if he hasn't been hanged by Wednesday, then because Friday is already eliminated, Thursday would be the only other available day, and that wouldn't be a surprise. He continues this line of logic until he eliminates each day of the week. Despite this, the prisoner is hanged on Friday. The lesson here is that even using logic and knowing the rules doesn't mean that life will go to plan. Besides, the prisoner was surprised like the judge ordered, all because he assumed he couldn't be executed. Get it? Because he decided it couldn't happen because there would be no surprise, but there was a surprise because he was expecting no surprise because the surprise couldn't happen. Oh my God. Number 7 is Wittgenstein's Beetle. Wittgenstein's Beetle thought experiment goes like this. Everyone in the world is given a small box. No one is allowed to look into anyone else's box to see what's there. You can only look at what's in your own box. You open up your box and see a beetle inside. It turns out that everyone in the world has a beetle in their box, although you only know this because they tell you what's in it. Remember, you can't look inside anyone else's box, and they can't look inside yours. yours. So, how do you know what's in your box is the same as what's in everyone else's? The answer is you can't. Our minds are a private world which no one can look into, just like the box. When I point at something and say that's the color red, you might agree with me, but I have no way to know that what you are experiencing is the same thing as I am. Literally, in other words, what I consider red may not be what you see as red. We just assume that we're looking at the same thing. Oh man, let that one twist your noodle. Number 6 is quantum immortality. Now this is a really weird thought experiment. It turns out that each one of us may actually be immortal. There are some physicists, albeit in the minority, who genuinely believe this is a possibility, all because of quantum immortality thought experiments. In physics, there's a theory called the many worlds interpretation. It suggests that at every moment, the universe splits off into other universes and every possibility is played out. That means there's a universe where you moved left instead of right, or you stayed up instead of going to bed. Now, some physicists believe that each time this happens, your consciousness must survive in the process. In other words, each one of us always ends up in a new universe where we continue living, and not in one that we died in. That is immortality. Kind of like Rick and Morty, and if you haven't seen Rick and Morty yet, what are you doing with your life? Number 5 is Laplace's Daemon. Imagine a creature which is so intelligent that it can observe every single particle in the entire cosmos. It also has a complete knowledge of physics. The question is, could this creature, called the Daemon, be able to perfectly predict the future and describe the past? Laplace's Daemon is designed to make us think about whether the universe works like a clock, determined from the very beginning. Some actually argue this to be the case, and so it's possible to predict the future. But others claim that there's a limit on how much computational power the universe has. So the Daemon would have to be outside of our universe observing everything. And then there are those who believe the universe is unpredictable and only appears to work like a clock, but doesn't actually. No one really knows the truth, or if the Daemon is watching, or if there is a demon. Is there a demon? Mama? Number 4 is the Chinese room. Imagine being in a room separated from another person by a wall with a small letterbox in it. You need to communicate with the other person using pieces of paper, but they only know Chinese. The problem is you don't speak any language of Chinese. Instead, you have a book filled with Chinese words and another book with instructions in English. You receive a piece of paper from the other person written in Chinese. So you follow the instructions you have in English and copy the corresponding characters from Chinese, even though you have no idea what they mean. When the other person reads your note, they think you know Chinese. But the fact is, you're just following a simple set of rules. The crazy thing is that this is what a computer does. This experiment shows that even if a computer appears to be intelligent, it's probably just following a simple set of rules. So when artificial intelligence comes around, are they simply following a set of rules created by the creator, i.e. us, or are they actually able to think for themselves? And for that matter, are we just following a set of rules? Oh. Number 3 is the Swamp Man. David Donaldson's Swamp Man thought experiment cuts to the core of who we are and the existence of the soul. The experiment describes a man walking in a swamp. Suddenly, a flash of lightning comes down from the sky and strikes the man, killing him instantly. The body sinks into the swamp. At the same precise moment, another lightning strike happens nearby. The lightning rearranges the atoms nearby into the exact replica of the man. He brushes himself off and leaves the swamp, believing that he's the same person. But the question is he the same person? Is the original person gone? And does the new version have a soul? It's similar in some ways to the Ship of Theseus paradox, and questions whether we're actually the same person when we wake up every day, or just a new piece of consciousness which has the same memories. What you think is you may not have been you yesterday or the day before. You may be changing bodies. I don't know. Number 2 is the simulation theory. Imagine we run a virtual reality simulation which is indistinguishable from the real thing. We create an exact replica of Earth, and we populate it with computer-generated people. Now, ask yourself this: what are the odds of you being in a real world right now, or being one of the simulated people in a virtual one? It's 1 out of 2, right? Now we run 2 simulations. What's the odds that you're a biological human? It's about 1 in 3. Now imagine that there are thousands of these simulations running, and that there are millions of alien civilizations running simulations as well. The chances that you are in a real world as opposed to one of the billions of simulations is actually tiny. Mathematically, it's likely that you are living in a simulated world right now, and that you're not even a biological being. This is the simulation theory, and it's kind of terrifying. Seriously, look up the simulation theory on YouTube, or just look up simulation theory Elon Musk. Your life will never be the same. And number 1 is Schrodinger's cat. One debated theory in quantum physics is that the universe hangs around in what's called superposition until someone looks at it. Superposition simply means that every possibility is happening at once. Once a conscious observer looks at it, the universe collapses into one solid outcome. Schrodinger's cat involves a cat in a box with a vial containing a radioactive substance. The substance has a 50% chance of decaying in 1 hour. If the substance decays, a mechanism releases poison gas into the box. Now, without looking in the box, you have no idea if the cat is dead or alive. In fact, because a conscious observer isn't looking, the radioactive substance is in superposition. It's both decayed and not decayed. The poison has both been released and not been released. And that means that the cat is both dead and alive at the same time. Oh, I need to lie down. Bye.